Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another tropical forecast here by Asian Weather Forecast. This will be a huge update here on Invest 92L. We have major updates here on the track, especially. I also have my own personal forecast at the end of the video, so be sure to watch at the end of the video to see my personal forecast on where I think this storm will go. And also strength-wise, we have major updates on satellite imagery, major updates on where it can go, timing, also strength, and all of that to come exactly. We're really monitoring now Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and even North Carolina as well. So not just Florida and North Carolina. Now we're including South Carolina and possibly even now the portion of Georgia. So we're really monitoring now a lot of the southeast as the storm has changed in track a little bit, and malls are starting to show a bit more to the west, so increasing possibilities for a southeastern landfall. Before we get a video, please hit the like button as well to show your awesome support. We crushed that last video. We had up to 60 likes in my past video earlier today. So be sure to get now 61 likes on this one. Subscribe if you're new as well. Let's try to get to 2,700 subs by the end of today. We are 2 subs away. And also, last but not least, hit the post notification icon so you get notified as soon as I post a video. Without further ado, let's get this tropical forecast. Here's a look now at the National Hurricane Center. As you see now, we actually have a pretty big update on the National Hurricane Center, and it's actually decreasing the possibility for formation. That's only because it is very, let's just say, unorganized as an invest right now, but it's actually still at a very high possibility for development within the next 5 days. 70% chance for the next 48 hours. I think this becoming a named storm within the next 48 hours is reasonable. I think within the next 36 hours to 48 hours, this system will become a named storm, getting closer to the Western Philippines and Leeward Islands. I think this will be named as a tropical storm around the Leeward Islands. They are not necessarily, I wouldn't say anytime soon, because it might take maybe 2 more days here. And now it's down to an 80% chance for the next 5 days. This isn't because of dry air, it's just because it's very unorganized, and it's a very large unorganized invest, which means it take a while to actually kind of circle up and kind of close off into a moisture bubble. That's kind of the only reason why it's downgraded, but hasn't downgraded much. But as you see, they have extended this now area for potential development as far as now Puerto Rico and as far up here. I think this thing could possibly be named around right there. That kind of seems reasonable around there. It's going to be heading some warmer waters there. We're going to be seeing less shear. Also, at this point, it should have its moisture bubble. It should have wrapped around. So that's kind of the area where it can possibly be named. And then obviously we're monitoring it likely maybe possibly the chances of Florida getting hit have increased as models are showing this moving a lot more to the west and also heading more to the south, going south really the Bahama Islands, and maybe making landfall for a portion of southern Florida. So the chances for a Florida landfall have increased, even though we do have a little possibility, a lower possibility for development with the next 5 days. But I could definitely see this being named with the next 2 days, where this atmospheric conditions will actually get a lot more favorable. Here's looking now at satellite imagery, and as you see, as this goes overnight, we kind of see this cloud cover is a little more dense. We are seeing a lot of convection on this part of the storm right here. Some convection right there. Those really high, fluffy clouds. That convection is because of the vorticity there. That's going to create a lot of convection there. And that's going to create this storm to really become a lot more circular like that convection. The more convection, the better. We're also seeing a lot of convection right here as well. We're also seeing some really dense cloud cover there. And we're seeing some spotty areas of convection around this portion of the system. As you see, it's a pretty large and widespread, let's say, invest. As you can tell, this thing is kind of really wrapping around a lot more. The southern part, you can possibly say, is a lot better looking than the northern part of the storm. Look how open this part is. It's the low pressure is like right in the middle of this open area. So any dry air can get in this storm. It can fall apart completely. That's why a bust has a small chance of happening. I don't think it's going to bust, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's not as strong as expected, or if it does delay for formation. I'm not saying it's going to really bust. That's just exactly why they did take down the possibility by 10% chance on National Hurricane Center, because of how open it is. So it won't be a bust, but the chance for this actually becoming a tropical storm within the next 24 hours have winded down, and 36 hours is kind of meh at this point. It's kind of meh, but let's go check out now. Let the Atlantic satellite imagery is going to refresh this now. Let me actually move myself right there so we can actually see it. So I move like that. Alright, so here we are taking a look now right here. This is on satellite imagery. This pretty decent size in invest. As you see, it's starting to wrap around. It's kind of got a lot of convection right here, and a lot of convection right there. So really, we are starting to see a lot more convection, which is a sign of it slowly improving. So it's slowly improving, but just not at the rate of it possibly becoming a tropical storm or named storm anytime soon. Like I said, I think it very well form around here as a named storm, and then at that point, that's when it's possibly going to go like this and make landfall in Florida. Or we still have possibilities of this hitting North Carolina, or even possibly even going inland in Florida and then coming out like this. That's also a possibility now. We have a new potential for a track here. This is actually a really big track right here. X marks the spot here. And expected to possibly just go north of the Puerto Rico area, then possibly hit the Bahama Islands, possibly make landfall inland, just kind of right on the coast of Florida, but making landfall officially, and then coming on the southeastern coast and making landfall on the Outer Banks. That is possibly maybe the most likelihood really of this new track. So we have a lot of updates on the potential track, like I said. So we have major updates here, and that's possibly the most likely outcome for a track. Let's go now check out now the SSTs. Like I said, very favorable conditions for this one to really blow up. So if it does actually make landfall right here and comes back out and makes landfall in the Outer Banks, it is extremely favorable for this to blow up. It can maybe become a Category 3 right before landfall in the North Carolina area if it does really take advantage of 31.5 degrees Celsius there, 30 degrees Celsius, all the way from Florida to North Carolina. That's actually a very good amount of time, and I would probably say around 500 miles or 600 miles from there to there. So really pretty favorable, let's just say that. And this thing has favorable conditions all the way from here, if it does get named over there, all the way right there. So that's exactly why we are seeing favorable conditions. So we can very well see this actually going like this, possibly like that. We can still see maybe going like this, possibly just making landfall right in southern Florida, then hitting the coast and then going like that into North Carolina. Those are kind of the two outcomes now. So either way, North Carolina is still at a threat for a landfall. So North Carolina and Florida, you guys are a really big threat. But South Carolina has also become a pretty big threat here as well. As you see right here, if this does move like this, South Carolina has also become a target as well, which you will see within the next coming minutes here over the next slides. As you see though, very favorable conditions of 28 degrees Celsius, 29, 30, and then obviously the most favorable right here at 31 degrees Celsius. So that's exactly where we're having that possibility there for some quite the favorable condition. Let me just tell you that. Here's the track guidance on tropical tidbits here. So just refresh its model. There we go. Everything's refreshed here. Look at this. Look how now a lot of the models are now actually avoiding that avoiding that northeastern turn before it hits the Bahamas, and now they're actually going straight towards southern Florida. That is a very big concern here. A lot of the models now kind of showing this possibly happening, going straight for southern Florida now that new model trend is pushing it a lot more to the west. Still, it could maybe happen that does take this northeastern turn before it goes further inland in the Bahamas and then hits the Outer Banks. That's still a possibility, just not as likely as it was when I made my other video earlier today. Really watching the possibilities of going straight towards the areas of southern Florida at that moment right there. But really big possibilities could be named within the next 48 hours near the Leeward Islands and U.S. Virgin Islands there. They're possibly going to go just north of Puerto Rico. That is very good for development and strength-wise because Puerto Rico is a pretty mountainous area. So if those mountains will not ruin the storm if it does not go over. This is probably the most really intriguing and huge update here on the GEFS tracks and central pressure. Look at this. Look how many models are now showing it going actually hitting U.S. soil. Look at all these models. It was completely different 24 hours ago. Look at this now. We can possibly see a lot of models now going to way south of the Bahamas and scooping up the Florida coast. As you see, very likely that now South Carolina and Georgia have now been a target. Very, very likely that South Carolina maybe is going to get a lot closer. And I mean a lot closer to Florida. Going to go like this and then do like a Dorian-like track where it kind of like heads straight for Florida and then it goes up the coast last minute. and that's where it can maybe really impact South Carolina. So South Carolina has been a really big target now. It's been a big target. Florida now, target. North Carolina still target, and South Carolina. Notice about North Carolina, it can get hit two ways, really. As you see, still malls are showing it hitting the Outer Banks like that, like it first showed. But now also, some are showing it hitting South Carolina and then going back into North Carolina. Notice, if it does hit South Carolina or North Carolina, west of the black line, which is expected to come, that will bring in a lot more impacts for as far as Maine. The whole eastern coast is at stake now. The whole eastern coast will be seeing impacts just by one decision, by one track. The whole east coast can see impacts. But if it goes the other way, much of the east coast won't see impacts. So it's really now the whole east coast is at stake. So really, all the way to Maine, we can see impacts if it does actually go to Florida or South Carolina. So really, that's a huge impact, really a huge difference there. But really, South Carolina is now a very big target if it does not hit Florida. The only thing is, I do expect it to maybe go right here into maybe just the Florida and then going out. But maybe when it comes out of Florida, if it does make landfall, it might hit South Carolina instead of really hitting North Carolina, which is a huge update here. Now check out the very detailed spaghetti malls here. As you see, X marks the spot right there. As you see now, a lot more malls are showing it going up to that northern trend north of Puerto Rico. Models are actually, some are showing now going now way south of Puerto Rico and making landfall in Dominican Republic and Haiti. That's where you can definitely see a Key West problem if it hits the Key West. As you see, look, as you see on the GEFS, they showed a lot more malls are making a trend of it actually maybe affecting Cuba or affecting Dominican Republic, and then it's going to go into the Gulf, but then it takes that direct northern trend, northern turn, going straight forward to South Carolina, and then boom, landfall for South Carolina. Really, South Carolina has been a target of itself, but this is kind of the cone right now. Really, a lot of malls are starting to agree, which is actually very good now. So malls are starting to show maybe most likely now going north of Puerto Rico, which means most likely maybe going to go right here into the southern Bahamas right there, or some are still going to show that northeastern trend a lot sooner than the other malls are showing. Intensity guidance here as well. This is actually a huge difference now. Now that the National Hurricane Center has lowered the possibility for landfall, for development for the next 5 days, they are now actually not even becoming a hurricane. But do not let this get your hopes down of, or it's going to be a bust. Do not let your guard down, as really the GFS and Euro are the models that really, let's say, affect the model intensity guidance. Let's just go with that, really. But yeah, as you see, a lot of models are showing becoming a tropical storm within the next maybe 30 hours to now as far as 60 hours. So it's kind of delayed a little bit. I could very well see it most likely being 36 hours. Like I said, 36 to 48 hours is that range for it possibly being named. So we can maybe see the only eye in July ever in history. The only eye ever in July, which is absolutely crazy here. But these will be some decent tropical storms, maybe moderate, 55 knots, around 65 miles an hour. But I definitely still see this becoming a hurricane. Even though intensity guys don't even show it, they have kind of decreased. But just wait until the malls start to show that westward trend a lot more, such as GFS and Euro. And all those malls start now showing it actually hitting Florida. And that's when the intensity guys will blow up. Just give it a little time. Still almost a week from now from possibly making landfall. So it has plenty of time. So just give it a little time for this to actually become, once it actually forms, but then maybe 36 hours, that's when models will start ranking up the intensity guide. Just give it a little time. So that's what happens with long track storms. They kind of just, it's really unpredictable. But now it's getting a lot. Now we have a way better idea of where this will go, and or I want to say where this will go. I think we have a better idea of the strength. Let's just go with that there. And you see the system has now gone through a very long track already, all the way from the Sierra Leone. All the way from the Sierra Leone coast, all the way up into the tropical island. That's probably already around maybe 2,000 miles, 1,500 miles. This thing's already traveled 1,500, not 2,000 miles here. It's absolutely crazy, and it has maybe 300 more miles to go. This is absolutely crazy. It may even have a little less than 300 miles to go. This is absolutely crazy. Or 3,000 miles, not 300 miles. 3,000 miles to go, really. This thing is expected there. X marks the spot of where Invest 92L is expected to possibly maybe go like this, and then possibly either hit stop. Let's just go with this, really. There's many outcomes, really. It's either really, actually, that's a mistake. And either goes right here, possibly go like that, and then that's still a possibility. That's probably the least likely outcome right now. Or either it can go like this, possibly go south of the Bahamas, and then possibly make landfall in Florida, then hit South Carolina, which South Carolina is a very big target now, or it does that, but it hits North Carolina. Or what the nav gem is showing, which has actually been a very consistent model, is it goes like this, and then it goes like possibly like an Irma track, and then it stays inland, and then it goes into North Carolina and Virginia. So really, I'm just going to say chances for impacts have increased a ton for South Carolina, maybe Georgia as well. North Carolina and Virginia, you guys have increased a lot of potential effects, even all the way to the New York City area, all the way to the northeast. Maybe impacts or possibilities for impacts have increased if it does take that route from going through Florida, South Carolina, or maybe even portions of the Wilmington, North Carolina area, not Outer Banks. So here's now a look at the CMC model here. CMC has actually been one of the little models that I've agreed with on the track of Invest 92L. It does show kind of almost exact Dorian track there. As you see, by the next 42 hours, possibly being at 1,006 millibars, getting close to that tropical storm millibar strength, and then by the time it gets over Puerto Rico, it'll be 1,003 millibars. So that's definitely a tropical storm at that point. And as you see, then it starts to really weaken a little bit. Could be a teeny little amount of dry air. And then it goes over the Bahamas. And then watch as it goes over the Bahamas. It goes into the most favorable part, the most favorable region of its track, the southeastern coast, where you see 31 degrees Celsius. Very little shear and really no dry air whatsoever. Watch, this thing is at 1,000 millibars on at the 162 hours. And then, boom, 979 millibars on August 5th. That's a huge change, and it's going to just skin the Outer Banks, where I am expecting the CMC to maybe show a little bit more of a western change, where it actually goes way closer to the coast and maybe either hit South Carolina or maybe the Wilmington area. So really, I expect the CMC by the next update, if it does, to maybe be a little bit more to the west. So maybe right here, maybe make landfall in South Carolina or areas of near the North Carolina area, really. So really watching out for that, as the CMC is going to be just skinning the Outer Banks right there, and that can bring some big effects for Virginia, some nice amounts of rain for maybe the New Jersey area, and that's going to bring in possibly a lot of rain for maybe the New England area as far as Rhode Island and all of that. Let's go down and check out now the new GFS update. GFS is kind of showing a little bit more of location, just not strength. GFS, I do not trust on this storm whatsoever, really. It's been awful within the past storms, and I don't really trust it on this storm right now. It is showing the location, just not the strength anymore. We saw the last update, it showed it dying right here, the GFS. Now it's actually showing possibly going towards Florida, just maybe not even at a tropical storm. Here in the next 6 hours at 1,007 millibars there on GFS, and then it's going to be kind of just staying there around the Lesser Antilles by July 30th. And then we do expect it to now go towards just skinning the Dominican Republic and Haiti area, so a lot more to the south. Possibly going to go around the Bahama Islands at 1,008 millibars on August 2nd. And then look, it's going to possibly hit Florida, but look, not even at a defined low pressure system. So really not any improvement. GFS has only made improvement with location, just not really showing exactly what we want strength-wise whatsoever. NavGem has now just updated, and let's see what exactly. I have not seen what the new NavGem is, but really I do trust the NavGem with the last, where I do trust them with strength-wise. And the NavGem is actually on something. The last update for NavGem, they did show it actually making an Irma track, and NavGem did show it actually going all the way south right here. and then going up to Florida, and then inland Georgia, and then possibly up to areas of inland. So that's exactly what the last update of NavGem is. I do expect that I don't expect an Irma track really, but I do expect it to be maybe inland for a decent amount of time for Florida, maybe 24 hours, going up the coast, and then it goes back out to the southeastern coast or southeastern part of the ocean, whether it hits South Carolina or North Carolina. NavGem with the next 24 hours, expect this to be at 1,008 millibars, which seems pretty reasonable there. And it's going to strengthen the next 36 hours or 42 hours at 1,007 millibars. So could possibly be maybe a low-end tropical storm at that point. And then it shows actually going south of Puerto Rico here at 1,001 millibars. Quite shocking. As you see, they haven't had every single hour that updated, but after that kind of shows it going at 995 millibars. It's gonna go like this really. It's gonna go like this really at this point, just south, and then going in between DR and PR, which is kind of exactly what Dorian did. 995 millibars are ready for portions of the areas as it goes closer and closer to the Florida area. And then look, 987 millibars as it goes up into the Bahamas. I could expect this strength in this much. I could definitely expect. I don't expect any storms to go like south of Puerto Rico, or sorry, that's actually my highlighter. I don't expect this storm that goes south of Puerto Rico and then go between Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico. I just expect it to go north of Puerto Rico. But I do expect maybe a huge strengthening phase in between the Bahama Islands at 918 millibars. That is what the NavGem is showing. And then look at that monster storm. Like the NavGem is now showing it skinning up the coast. Wow, wow, wow. Look at that, skinning the coast there for portions of Florida. That's exactly what I'm actually thinking of, maybe that happening. This is actually the last update here. This is exactly what the last update showed. It kind of showed it making landfall all the way into portions of Miami, going all the way up the coast and going portions of inland areas. But now it's actually it actually predicted the NavGem to maybe show it being a lot more to the east. I just don't see it being having an Irma track, and look what it is now. Possibly gonna go that's actually exactly what I'm thinking. Maybe it does maybe just skin the Florida area, and then maybe this could very well make landfall in South Carolina. So that's actually a huge update. This is actually a huge update. This actually really may increase the threat for the Carolinas. I actually think this could be a very well big threat even for Savannah, Georgia. Look at this. This is maybe where we can be seeing landfall now. You saw with this right here. Look at this. Look at it right there. Actually, that's the wrong thing. Look at that. You see it's exactly what it's showing right here. Going right here near the Dominican Republic area in Haiti. Getting close to Florida and then skidding right up into South Carolina or the Wilmington area. That's actually a huge, very, very huge update there. Hey, that's actually very intriguing, and that's actually going to really, really increase the threat for South Carolina, maybe areas near Savannah, Georgia, even for portions of the far southern areas of North Carolina, like Wilmington. That's actually going to really, really increase the threat. That's actually quite a huge update there. Let's go and check out the CMC winds now. As you see, the next 48 hours, could probably see around, let's say that's around 50 miles an hour there. And then it possibly strengthens up to possibly over 50 miles an hour at that point. And then it kind of falls apart a little bit over the Bahamas. Could be a little dry air. And then look, it blows up, maybe like an IR right there. Maybe a rapid intensification and blows up right before landfall. Let's go and check that that North Carolina area. Look at that. Look at that. For the CMC, this is a very big update. Look at that. It just blows up right there for the CMC. Like I said, this is going to bring in a very big threat now for South Carolina. CMC is actually showing it not too far off from South Carolina. Look at this. Already maybe bringing it over, maybe possibly bringing 30, 25 miles an hour for portions of South Carolina. Maybe good right just so close to making a landfall. Look at that. Actually directly making a landfall for North Carolina. CMC is showing now a landfall for North Carolina. This is the first time CMC has showed this, and that's a huge update right over the Outer Banks. So really, still the Outer Banks are a threat, though. Like, it's such a large area of potential for a threat. This whole area, this whole area can very well see a landfall. Look at this area, and then possibly even this area now can possibly see a landfall. It's a huge unknown area, really. Just look at that. Possibly making a landfall right over the Outer Banks there. But now let's go and check out now the let's go check the NavGem. I don't know, not even go to the GFS, no even point. So as you see, something actually very interesting on the that's Gonzalo. But as you see there, look at the and the nav GM going just south of Puerto Rico there, and then boom, bringing extremely tough winds there. Look at that. Oh wow, wow, wow! Look at that, going up the East Coast and heading straight for areas of South Carolina. This is a very intriguing. But look, this will also bring in like a Dorian system. It's going to bring in maybe hurricane warnings for the Florida coast, even though it's not even making landfall. This is very, very intriguing. Honestly, I honestly really, really want to see exactly what will happen with this. Let's go now and check out actually my map here that I actually made here. My forecast here on what I think will happen here with Invest 92L. As you see, this means tropical depression. This blue color means tropical depression. Very light blue, very bright blue means tropical storm. This means Cat 1, that means Cat 2, that means Cat 3. I don't have Cat 4 or 5 because I don't think this will be a Cat 4 or 5. As you see, I expect it to be going up to the north, going a bit more slightly to the northwest, and then possibly being a tropical storm right just north of the U.S. Virgin Islands and Leeward Islands, like I said. Could be a tropical storm for a little bit, and then possibly it has going to have a huge burst of a huge burst though of maybe jumping to a Category 1, just like the CMC starts blowing up north of the Caribbean. The nav GM starting blowing up right here in the Bahama area region. See, Cat 1 and possibly going to intensify into a Category 2 right before a landfall. I still think a landfall is possible with Florida right now. I think, though, it's not going to be a huge landfall. It's going to be just on the coast. As you see, it's going to be just on the coast there as a Category 2, making landfall in Florida as a Category 2, just north of Miami near West Palm Beach, right there, right on the coast. And then it's going to go back out into the southeastern region and possibly make landfall in the Outer Banks. I may change this, actually. I may change this tomorrow, maybe more for South Carolina or North Carolina. But this is not 100% accurate, so don't take this. It's still almost a week out. This is just what I'm thinking right now. But I maybe am thinking a bit more now for South Carolina and North Carolina border. So yeah. So that'll wrap up the video. Hope you guys did enjoy the video, and bye guys.